Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Wherever, whenever you're listening to the show, this is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, British by birth, American by choice, and very proud to be so. This is episode 278, folks. Wow. Things are moving along, and coming again to you, once again, from Southwest Florida. This is for the second to last time. Yes, next week will be my last broadcast from this location, and even today I'm in a slightly different location than I normally am. Had some problems with my hotel, and I especially with the network there, as you may remember, regular listeners, I've had my hiccups. So in these last 2 weeks I'm trying out a couple of different hotels, also other reasons for that, but yeah, almost at the end of one project. I'm waiting to find out where I'll be going next, so if I'm lucky I may be getting a couple of weeks at home in the home studio, but I'll let you know about that. And like to say hi to those of you that are listening live. Of course, my biggest audience do listen to the rebroadcast or to the recordings, but for those of you that do come in live, and it's I hope you enjoy listening to the live broadcast as much as I enjoy giving it, because there's, I could just record this as a podcast and just put it out on the internet that way, but it's much more fun having this live connection there, being able to read what people are saying in the chat room and occasionally able to react to that. So again, if you are listening live, just a reminder, click on the little speech bubble in your Spreaker box there, and that will take you to the chat room, and we always have lots of fun there. I come in as much as I can, but obviously not always able to do that, but especially in the breaks you'll see me jump in and pass comment on a couple of things that may be going on there, and of course bring it into the spoken part of the show as well. So for the moment I'm going to get to our topics, because as the title says, a mishmash of topics. I got a bunch of things to get to, and I'm going to start off with my weekly commentary, which is a bunch of short topics with my comments on them. And the first one, of course, is the fact that the final 10 for the so-called debate on Fox later this week have been announced. A couple of surprises in the lower echelons, but at the top, no real surprises. I think the biggest surprise for everyone is that the Donald is still as far ahead of everybody else as he is. Is he going to be able to stay there? Remember, this is, we're over a year away from the general election, but we're also quite a bit away, 6 months or so from the first of the primaries, so it's still a long way to go. Is he going to be able to keep out in front there? His message seems to be good. We'll have to wait and see what happens. He certainly is generating interesting reactions, let's put it that way. seems to be either people are very much for him or very much against. Not very many people on the fence. But I wonder, I think as more people hear what he has to say, and I hope he gets to say it in this so-called debate coming up on Thursday, but some of the other debates or presentations, whatever you want to call them, I hope he gets his message out, because I think a lot of people will sort of scratch their heads and say, well, maybe he's not as nutty as he thinks. So it could be fun. I'm hoping to see, or at the very least listen to the debate, because I will be traveling Thursday evening on my way home. I'm back to my regular schedule, Monday through Thursday on the road, and then getting back Thursday evening, get Friday, Saturday at home, and then Sunday evening back off to the client. Like I said, got to do that one more Sunday for a short while, and then, as I said, we'll see where I end up. But anyway, so Thursday is going to be fun. Even if I miss the actual debate, I'm sure there'll be so many clips and replays on the TV that I'll be able to catch up at least with all the most important parts of it. So let's move on and have another weekly commentary topic, and this one is the news that a military officer who was in Chattanooga and actually had his own personal handgun with him and used it to defend the unarmed military personnel in Chattanooga is now going to be indicted for shooting a weapon on federal property. He wasn't supposed to do that because it was supposed to be a gun-free zone. And it's not sure whether he actually had any effect in terms of hitting or killing the Islamist extremist, but the fact remains he did shoot it, and technically he broke the law. But let's face it, folks, it is a bad law. Why on earth should our military personnel be forced to be unarmed, especially out in the public, especially now when we have ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all these things infiltrating the US? So it's a bad law. So what he did, let's put that put that into civil disobedience. Isn't that what Rosa Parks did? And if that doesn't blow liberals' minds, I don't know what will. So, just like to say hi tonight to Rex and Paul, who have already arrived in the chat room. As I said, fun place to be. And I'm going to move on to the next topic. I hope. If I push the right button. And the next topic was something that I don't think Donald himself actually did see. It's something I got from a site called makeameme.org, but it sounds very the Donald-like, and it shows a picture of Donald with the words around it, "Isn't it amazing how these jerks in Washington can unite against me, but they can never unite to help America and the people?" And I think that is such a good meme there. And it's very true, let's face it. I mean, they are all of a sudden able to band together and do something, or at least try to do something. And normally, they're just inactive. So a little bit of a laugh there. And I have another one, which is sort of a laugh, sort of not. A number of episodes ago, I brought to the forefront the fact that the Labor Department was, right, Obama's goons again, suing a trucking company because the trucking company fired Muslim drivers who refused to deliver alcohol. Right, they refused to drive trucks that had alcohol on them. Now, isn't that interesting that the Labour Department gets involved with that and sues immediately? But when Christians go against what they believe in and refuse to bake a cake, then they have to be brought down, and the full force of the Department of Injustice is brought upon them. Think about it, folks. Is there really a war on Christians? I think there might very well be. And while we talk about Donald Trump, I said last week or the week before he'd really made a good critical decision to say that he wanted to have Palin in his cabinet if he gets elected, but he's doubled down on that. And not only did he compliment her, but he has now hired her former top aide, Michael Glassner, as his national political director. I mentioned, he said about Palin, she's really somebody who knows what's happening. She's a special person. She's a really special person, and I think people know that, and she's got a following that's unbelievable. I'm looking at some of these candidates. They're weak, they're ineffective, and to a degree that's almost hard to believe. And you know, they lack the Sarah Palin kind of strength. You don't see very much of it anymore. So, kind of related to that, he's now hired Michael Glassner, who was Palin's 2008 VP point man. He also served under Bob Dole in the Bush-Cheney campaign in Iowa, so he really knows what he's doing. Michael's going to be responsible for developing and implementing a national political plan and will oversee strategic planning operations nationwide on behalf of the Donald for President, Trump's campaign said in a statement. So yet another connection to Sarah Palin. This, folks, could be good. Maybe she will finally get her chance. And another little thing that I'd like to kind of reiterate, this is something I mentioned also a while back. This was in Texas, a pig farmer who had some land next to him bought by Muslims. But this is such a good one. It really does bear repeating. Now, he was already a farmer, and he had pigs. The land next to his family farm had been purchased by the president of an Islamic association who intended to build a mosque and community center on the 11 acres of the land next door. His new Muslim neighbors actually had the goal to ask the farmer to leave the farm or get rid of his pigs, because the pigs must be removed in order to cleanse the land before building their mosque. Being the ingenious Texan he is, Baker started holding pig races every Friday afternoon, at a time when he knew his Muslim neighbors would be saying their afternoon prayers. Long live the First Amendment. Now, we are going to be talking about how the First Amendment is under fire, if I get time anyway. But I think that was very clever of him. And I've got something else clever that the Donald actually did, but we'll also talk about that a little later. Let's see, we've still got some time before the break, so here's another little interesting thing I came across, just very short, and it was a picture of three people. You'll know who they are when I speak the words that were there. It says, a woman pretending to be black, a man pretending to be a woman, a president pretending to be an American, and the whole nation is pretending nothing is wrong here. Folks, don't you think that is a perfect meme on which to go to the first commercial break? I think so. Okay, folks, I will be back right after these messages.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And we're back from that break. Lots of interesting things going on in the chat room here, and I just mentioned to Paul, Paul's out there, as well as my friend author Edward, or Rex as we like to call him, and we were talking about Palin, and I mentioned that Paul always, whenever we talk about particular political figures, Paul comes back, oh yeah, I met that person sometime, and they were very nice, or strikingly beautiful, or this or that. So very interesting. You have to let me know what your secret is, Paul. Paul also made the comment that he was disappointed Carly didn't make the Fox list. For the debate, so the top 10, the prime time list, yes, there were some surprises there. Someone like Kasich, who's only just started his campaign, kind of rocketed up. Apparently, those ones at the bottom were so close within the margin of error that it could have very easily gone the other way. We don't know exactly which polls. They were published later, and they sort of showed things, but all of it was well within the margin of error in the lower groups. It was only really Donald and the two below him, Jeb Bush and Scott Walker, that were really head and shoulders above the rest, and all the rest were pretty close. So we'll see, and it would be interesting to have Carly Fiorina in there just as kind of a counterpoint, to have a woman there and belie the war on women that the regressives always say about the GOP. So we'll see. Anyway, let's move on again. Still on weekly commentary. A little bit heavier topic this time, and this is you may remember last week we talked about Mark Meadows, who'd submitted a bill or had submitted paperwork to actually have John Boehner removed from his post. Now, under the rules of the House, John Boehner could have called that measure up before they went into recess, and that was actually the intention of the GOP establishment, to do that, to call it up, have it voted on, have it voted down, and therefore embarrass Meadows. But when they started calling around, and here's the very interesting thing, they started calling around just to make sure that they would get the right number of votes to ensure that John Boehner wouldn't be embarrassed. And guess what? All of a sudden they discovered that they might not have the votes that they need to make sure that he is re-elected as Speaker. So, very interesting there. And the House Majority Leader, that's Kevin McCarthy, the House Majority Whip, Steve Scalise, were whipping the members, calling them up and trying to twist their arms, and nope, it wasn't working. Now, Mark Meadows says, I know members personally who were called by Steve Scalise. So they had the entire leadership team frantically making phone calls to members to whip the vote because they wanted to attempt to embarrass me. And they wanted to call the vote immediately before the recess, which was last week. They found out. They found out that bad things could happen. It was definitely not a shoo-in for Boehner anymore. Don't you love that, folks? Don't you just love that? Finally, we may get rid of the crybaby. Now, Meadows said, you hear all kinds of rumors in Washington, but I can tell you I was not one of the members that they called to whip. But I did hear from a number of people who apparently had gotten calls. The nature of that was, from what I understand, that they should bring up that resolution before we left. And then it was ultimately decided not to do that. Folks, he is weak. But we knew that. Now, all of his leadership team now know he's too weak to get re-elected unless somehow the political dynamic changes between now and the vote, which will be in August. And, of course, with politically hungry people everywhere on Capitol Hill, that means now he can't trust anyone, because the Conservatives could muscle up, or someone who wants to take over from him could ally themselves with the Conservatives and form an alliance to get rid of him. So the motion to vacate the chair can still be offered, and it can be offered, by the way, as a privilege resolution, which means it gets a full floor vote without the consent of Boehner's leadership team. So Boehner can't even stonewall it. That means so after the recess, Boehner is especially vulnerable, and his Conservative opposition could make a move whenever, wherever they want to, and when they have the votes to remove him from office. So one of the Conservative leaders said, it's caught everybody by surprise, but that doesn't mean it's not a good idea. Imagine, folks. Imagine that happening. Wouldn't that be great? Anyway, we can but dream, and remember what Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. Let's go back to Trump, because I said there was something that just showed how absolutely clever Trump was. Now, you may remember a while back, Trump caught some flack because what he did, he published Lindsey Graham's phone number. And I think he showed it in a speech. It was repeated, at least part of the number, because Fox didn't repeat the whole number. And Lindsey Graham, I'll give him his due, made quite a funny video showing how he was destroying his phone in 100 different ways to show, that he didn't really care that Donald had done that. But a liberal website, Gawker, one of those sensationalist liberal websites, decided to basically turn the tables on the Donald. So Gawker's Sam Biddle, one of their chief editors, published his number, ostensibly in the spirit of open and fair political debate. Basically just tit for tat, if you like. Now, an MSNBC source confirmed Trump had previously used the same number in communications with a reporter earlier in the year, but, of course, somebody from Donald Trump's campaign said, Mr. Trump has several numbers, so this is not an issue. But after publishing this number, Sam Biddle actually received Trump's praise. Yes, he received Trump's praise, because what Trump used the opportunity is to actually connect with his supporters and allow his supporters to connect with his campaign. Because what the Donald did was record a message for anyone who called that number. And now he says, hi, this is Donald Trump, and I'm running for the presidency of the United States of America. With your help and support, together we can make America truly great again. Visit me on Twitter at @TheRealDonaldTrump and check out my campaign website at www.donaldtrump.com. Hope to see you on the campaign trail. We're going to do it. And that's the message that you get when you call that number. Isn't that clever? That's the sort of person that we need in the White House, not someone who runs from their own shadow. And the next topic, for those of you that speak a little bit of German or have studied psychology, you'll know there is a term called Schadenfreude, which basically means joy at somebody else's pain. Schaden means hurt or pain. Freude means obviously joy, and this is a little bit of anti-liberal, anti-regressive Schadenfreude. This is a story about a CEO who cut his own pay to give all of his employees a $70,000 minimum wage. Dan Price announced he was going to cut his $1 million pay in order to give his employees a $70,000 minimum wage. All of them. Each and every one. And all the stupid little progressive morons rushed out to praise his inspiring move. Obviously via Twitter. I praise CEO Dan Price for raising the minimum wage of his workers to $70,000 and taking a pay cut himself. Inspiring. Hashtag inspiring. Dan Price, CEO of Gravity Payments, cuts his own salary so he could pay every employee a minimum of $70,000 a year. Way to go. As it turns out, guaranteeing employees a $70,000 salary is great for business. Gravity Payments CEO Dan Price, well done. It is a good thing what Dan Price at Gravity Payments is doing for his company, paying a minimum salary of $70,000. Good idea in a bad market. Now those last two ones, guaranteeing employees a $70,000 salary is great for business, turned out not to be true. Also, the next one, good idea in a bad market. Yes, that one was actually more correct, because a few months later his business is falling apart. Think about it though. This was predicted by Ayn Rand in Atlas Shrugged and some of her other novels. When you do this kind of thing and everybody gets the same amount of pay for effectively different levels of work, it's not going to work. Dan Price now tells the New York Slimes that things have gotten so bad he's been forced to rent out his house. 3 months ago he was generating headlines and accusations of being a socialist. But now I'm working as hard as ever to make it work. I'm renting out my house right now and trying to make ends meet myself. The Times article said his decision ended up costing him a few customers and 2 of his most valued employees, who quit after newer employees ended up with bigger salary hikes than the older ones. He gave raises to people who have the least skills and are the least equipped to do the job, and the ones who were taking on the most didn't get much of a bump. This was Gravity's financial manager, Maisie MacArthur, told the paper. She said when she talked to Price about it, he treated her as if she was being selfish and only thinking about herself. It really hurt me. I was not only talking about me, but everyone in my position. So she quit. Another person quit. Now the people who were just clocking in and out were making the same as me, he told the paper. It shackles high performers to less motivated team members. So, there you are, folks. Socialism in the workplace as well does not work. Okay, I see it's time for the next commercial break. So, folks, stick with me. I will be back.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Every day, millions of Americans grow more concerned about the future of our great nation. The truth is, over the last century, a small but powerful collectivist movement known as progressivism has debased our politics, our culture, and our currency. We're just a small step from falling into 1,000 years of darkness, as Ronald Reagan warned. Friend, this is Pat Boone with an important free offer on a hot new book called The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Lowell Ponte. This new book explains how we, the people, can end this fatal detour into big government and get back on the path of faith and freedom charted by our founders. Call now for a free copy of the hot new book called The Great Withdrawal.
Call now for your free copy. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. That's 800-978-3901.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS that you can't pay? Call now for immediate help. At the Tax Relief Line, we help people just like you. If you take on the IRS alone, you could be facing levies, liens, even wage garnishments, personal or business tax issues. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, call now and see if you can pay less. They can freeze your bank accounts, even garnish your wages. Call the Tax Relief Line now for immediate help. Our expert team of tax professionals will negotiate your tax problem and deal with the IRS for you. If the IRS is threatening you with levies, wage garnishments, or seizing your assets, call now and see if you can pay the IRS less.
888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043.
This is Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, keeping the spirit of America alive, a proud member of the Red State Talk Radio Network. And we're into the second half of the show already. Time flies when we're having fun. I like to say that pretty much every show, bit of a cliche, but it's a good one. Before I continue on, because this minimum wage thing, this Gravity Payments, Dan Price of Gravity Payments, is not the only story in that area. But, these are all bleeding heart liberals, and, they're putting out these ideas about minimum wage and everything, and they don't realize what economic consequences it has. So we would actually be better off, I think, without liberals. And here's someone who agrees with me. using, by the way, of course, the music of that quintessential liberal anthem by John Lennon, Imagine.
Imagine there's no liberals. It's easy if you try. No traitors among us who push common sense aside. Imagine all the liberals that they have gone away. Ooh. Imagine there's no Hillary. It isn't hard to do. No Nancy Pelosi. No Cindy Sheehan too. Imagine all the liberals have moved to Canada. Ooh. You may say I'm a hater for not liking liberal scum. They live in La La Land with their heads stuck up their bum. Imagine no mainstream media. I wonder if you can. No New York Times or CBS. No need for CNN. Imagine all the liberals sailing out to sea. Ooh. You may say I'm a hater for not liking liberal scum. Because they live in La La Land with their heads stuck up their bum.
Yes, folks, imagine there were no liberals, and then we wouldn't get nonsense like this. Well, because of all the noise about raising the minimum wage, probably the country's biggest employer, I believe that's true, maybe other than the government. Well, that's a big mistake anyway. But probably the country's largest public or private sector employer is probably Walmart, and they decided to raise their minimum wage for over 100,000 of its employees. This move reportedly cost at least $1 billion to implement, though the long-term cost could be potentially far worse. And the cost is not just in terms of the cost in money and the increased costs, which will be reflected in increased prices at Walmart stores, but also Walmart is planning to lay off 1,000 employees at its home office in Bentonville, Arkansas. Now that's interesting enough. Is there a correlation between the two? Walmart will probably say no, but increased costs, people have to go. Now, you may also remember when we were talking about Jade Helm a few weeks ago, We also talked about this strange fact that a number of stores across the nation had been shut down for alleged plumbing problems. Now, at the time, at least one or two of the stores had, interestingly enough, military activity around the store after it had been closed. Didn't hear anything more about that. Nothing seemed to come of it. But how about this? Reporters have been doing some research and discovered that no plumbing permits had been filed in any of the locales where the shuttered stores were located. So now the big question is, was it, as the Jade Helm people thought, was it something to do somewhere for the military to kind of be able to lie low while they were doing this Jade Helm stuff? Or was this an excuse so they could shut down these 5 stores also to cut costs because they were increasing their other costs by hiking the minimum wage? Interesting. Who knows? But one of the commentators said, by choosing to boost the living standards of its employees by the smallest of fractions, Walmart crippled the cost and wage structure of the entire ecosystem of individual stores that feed into it, which in turn led to a tidal wave of layoffs for those stores. One of the things regressives never learn: when either government or business raises the minimum wage, it skyrockets costs. To compensate, businesses then lay off workers. Yes, some workers wind up with a more livable wage, but at the cost of a bunch of other workers winding up with no wage at all. Regressives, take your Economics 101 class. That's going to teach you what you should know. You can't force things like that. Okay, let's see. A new slogan, and I saw this on Facebook, and I wrote to my semi-liberal supposed middle-of-the-road conservative, Dennis, and said, Dennis, you'll like this one probably as well, and I agree with this, and I'll even sacrifice people like Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, etc. on the altar. The slogan is not one in 2016. And basically, they say in 2014, we the people wanted change and shifted the balance in Congress to the Republicans. More than half a year later, they have done nothing to effect the changes we the people asked for. To everyone, red or blue, I say this: we will have failed ourselves if even one Washington politician is re-elected in 2016. We need a complete sweep. And I agree 100% with that. And I like the comment at the bottom of the picture. It says, please like and share our page, since the NSA is reading this anyway. Okay, let's see. Do we have time? Yes, we have time for one quick topic. And this is the fact that freshman Senator Tom Cotton has found that King Barry is already in direct violation of a law he just signed in late May regarding the Iran nuclear deal. The Iran Nuclear Agreement Review Act specifically provides that Congress must receive all nuclear agreement documents, including any related to agreements entered into or made between Iran and any other parties. It expressly includes side agreements. This requirement is not strictly limited to agreements to which the US is a signatory. Now, of course, we've heard about these secret agreements between Iran and the IAEA, right, the International Atomic Energy Authority. And we've also heard that the American government said, no, we are not going to share these. Because Cotton and Mike Pompeo, Representative Mike Pompeo, and they wrote this in the Wall Street Journal. They traveled to Vienna to meet with officials of the UNIAEA, and they learned that certain elements of this deal are and will remain secret. And they further discovered that those involved with the talks, including the Obama administration, specially allowed the IAEA and Iran to have two side deals and keep them secret. Folks, why did Barry give away so much in these negotiations? Well, as I pointed out last week, his consigliere is Valerie Jarrett, was born in Iran. For Hillary, she has Huma Abedin. I'm not sure if I'll have time for that. Otherwise, I'll carry it over to next week. Some interesting things there. And of course, John Kerry, his daughter is married to someone of Iranian birth, and the best man at the wedding was the son of the chief negotiator. Don't you think there's a little bit of incest there? Anyway, now my friend Dennis said, but these people are now in America, and Stefan, you weren't born here, you're from a different country. But there's a big difference, folks, because I came from Britain, or even the Netherlands, Europe, but we don't have people marching through the streets there shouting death to America, death to Israel. We don't have the UK or the Netherlands or any of the European countries massively financing terrorism around the globe. There's a big difference between things. Okay, folks, time for the last commercial break. I will be back.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now, and in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just 1 day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-424-3790 and get 2 bottles free. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-424-3790. That's 800-424-3790.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. Okay, folks, the final minutes of the show again. A couple of quick topics around Planned Parenthood, and there's all these unbelievable videos going around, and of course Planned Parenthood is scrambling and involving all sorts of PR companies that apparently going around intimidating radio and TV stations to prevent these videos going out. And they've also got judges, or a judge, to block broadcasting of those Planned Parenthood videos. The fourth one that was going to be released was one that was a video made at an annual meeting of abortion providers, and this was this was done by a judge called William H. Orrick III, and he granted the injunction just hours after the order was requested by the National Abortion Federation. This was where the meeting was held. But, surprisingly enough, it turns out that the judge also raised over $230,000 for Obama. Yes, he was a bundler for his presidential campaign. At least $200,000 for Obama himself and $30,800 to committees supporting him. And even though the NAF filed its claim only hours before, Orrick very quickly decided in their favor that the abortionists they represent would be likely to suffer irreparable injury absent an ex parte temporary restraining order in the form of harassment, intimidation, violence, invasion of privacy, injury to reputation. And he decided that the requested relief is in the public interest. The commentator, and I agree with him 100%, believes that maybe Judge Billy is slightly biased towards the left. But while we're talking about that, one of the arguments that immediately has come up, and it's been used in the past when they were talking about defunding Planned Parenthood before. Remember, this has come up before, and one of the arguments. Planned Parenthood always points to other medical procedures and other medical services that the group performs to support women. One of its gimmicks is to reference all the mammograms that women receive by visiting Planned Parenthood. Quote from PPA, Planned Parenthood helps women nationwide get access to mammograms as part of the range of health care Planned Parenthood health centers provide to nearly 3 million people a year. So let's think about that. But let's pass the words, because that's what liberals do. Helps women nationwide get access to mammograms. That's right. Now you would think that that means that they have mammogram machines there, but oh no, they do not, because the FDA keeps a list of every licensed facility in the country, which it updates actually weekly. Every licensed facility for mammography. And you can see that online. So there are more than 8,700 licensed mammogram facilities in the US, and not a single one is operated by Planned Parenthood. And Rex just mentioned Rush cover there. Yeah, I'm not surprised, because this is actually dynamite if you think about it. That not a single one is actually happened. And I saw a figure, and I don't know whether it's correct, I haven't had a chance to check it out, that 90% of the work they do is actually, over 90% is abortions, and only a very small percentage is other activities. But who knows? Anyway, we are getting to the end of the show. And I just want to remind folks, if you want to email me, stephan@patriotcomelately.us, or go to www.patriotcomelately.us and click on the contact form. Send me comments, feedback, questions. Love to hear from you. And right now, I can see the music is starting, so it's time for my sign-off. TTFN, ta-ta for now. See you next week, folks, and please tell your friends. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.